Welcome back, my Duelist friends. Casual Duelist here, and it's been about a week, maybe two, since this was requested, and I knew I just wasn't gonna have the cards to do it, but it was such a cool challenge. I wanted to do it anyway, and what I actually did was I got with one of my friends from locals, and this is actually his list. He's been playing this. It works out very well for him. So I've got you guys a magical Musketeer deck. And quick breakdown, since we're going to be doing this digitally because I just don't have the cards and he already traded them. It's going to be a 40 card main deck, 18 monsters, 13 spells, 9 traps. We're going to have an extra deck of 15 obvious, 7 fusions, 1 Xyz. Why 1 Xyz? Something's wrong here. And 7 links. So I already know what happened here, and we will sort that out. That's it's supposed to be 2 Xyz and 6 fusion monsters, but we'll get to it. So first thing is, we're just going to rapid fire this deck list for you guys, and hopefully I can hold this steady so that you guys can get the counts and the names, just in case you guys are jotting this down. So the first card we're going to have is 3 copies Ash Blossom, and of course we could sub this out for things like Effect Veiler if you like. Single copy Double or Nothing, and I think you know why the Xyz monster is in the wrong place now. We got 3 Fantastical Dragon Phantasmate, just a great card, and definitely helps along with board presence. Single Feather Duster, because why not? Single Instant Fusion, got a target in here. Actually, I got 2. We are going to be using 1 Magical Musket, Crooked Crown. We're going to be using 3 copies Magical Musket, Cross Domination. 1 copy Magical Musket, Dancing Needle. 3 copies Magical Musket, Desperado. 3 copies Magical Musket, Last Stand. 1 copy Magical Musketeer, Calamity. 3 copies Magical Musketeer, Casper. 2 copies Musketeer, Doc. 3 copies of Kid Brave. And 3 copies of Starfire. Going into the rest of the deck, it's going to be a single Monster Reborn, 3 Pots of Desires, a single Red Reboot, and 3 Super Polymerization. So again, a lot of things are running different quantity here because we are going to be using the Desires, but we still would like to get off some of our effects. Real quick, let me fix this. Boop. And boop. So there we go. There's our deck list is fixed now. For the extra deck, we're going to be using 1 Boral Sword Dragon. We're going to be using 2 copies Earth Golem Adignister, 1 each Nightmare Cerberus, Phoenix, and Unicorn, 3 copies Link Monster Magical Musketeer Max, 1 Millenniumize Restrict, 1 Mud Dragon of the Swamp, 1 number 39 Utopia, 1 39 Utopia Double, and 2 copies Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. So guys, if you were here just for the list, and maybe you guys already know a lot of what these guys do, then you guys are free to go. But before you do, I'd like to take a second and thank you guys for watching. Additionally, if this has helped you, or if you just enjoyed it, do consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, and let your friends know. Also, we're not yet to the week of the 23rd. So if you guys have any questions, when I do my 1-year anniversary, and thanks for getting me to 1,000 video, I'm going to be answering questions. So if you guys have some questions for me, email them to me, leave them in the comments section. If you get them to me before then, I will try to answer your questions on air, on video. So we'll do that. Other than that, guys, you just have a great day. Go do something that's amazing for yourself. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Everybody else, let's go over some of these effects. And let's start with the main deck. So I think we can all agree we know what Ash Blossom does. This is going to stop interaction with the main deck and cards leaving it to go somewhere. Double or Nothing is going to be part of the Utopia engine to allow us to strike outright. And the first one we might actually need to look at is the Phantasme. So if your opponent special summons a Link monster or monsters, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then draw cards equal to the number of Link monsters your opponent controls plus 1. So if 2, draw 3. Then shuffle cards from your hand into the deck equal to the number of the monsters they actually control. So this lets you replace the card in your hand while actually reloading your hand into possibly a better situation than what you were in. Next effect is when it's on the field. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a monster or monsters that you control. As a quick effect, you can discard 1 card. Again, the card that you just substituted into the hand. negate the activation, and if you do destroy the card, you can only use each effect once per turn. However, if this guy does manage to stay on the field for more than one turn, that effect can be used every turn. So, very good card, very good card. And again, a couple reprints, so a little more affordable. Harvey's Feather Duster, pretty bland. Just destroy all your opponent's spell traps. Instant fusion, pay 1,000, special summon 1 fusion monster, 5 stars or less from your extra deck for the turn, destroy during the end phase. And now let's get into some of the Magical Musket cards, because these are really cool. The first one is a Trap Magical Musket Crooked Crown. It is continuous. And when you activate this, you can only control 1 Magical Musket Crooked Crown. During the main phase, you can special summon 1 Magical Musket from your hand. And if you do, and if your opponent's main monster zone... Yeah, if your opponent's main monster zone in that monster's current column is unused, that zone cannot be used until the end of this turn. This effect, is still valid even if this card leaves the field this turn. You can only use this effect once per turn. So again, as a trap, we can go ahead, we can do this. We can actually push to block their link zones. Because again, it's dealing with the same column. It doesn't say that it has to be directly in front of it, which is cool. Now, I do believe, it does say main monster zone, so it's not like we could actually go ahead and attack for the extra zones to try to block them that way. But we can block the point arrows from their link monsters. So very good card. And again, since you can only really have one, it's kind of only worth running at one. We do have the quick play for cross domination. If you control a magical musket monster, target a face-up monster on the field until the end of this turn, change its attack and defense to 0. Also negate its effects, and you can only activate one of these per turn. This is like one of the best cards in the deck, because again, we're not just zeroing out the account of the monster. Sometimes you just need to get rid of the monster's effect to stop it from being able to do anything. And this one's actually going to check both boxes at the same time. And again, being quick play is very unfair-ish. I mean, obviously, this is a very niche deck. But this is really going to help you further your own plays and stopping your opponent's plays. We're going to have single copy of the regular play trap card, Dancing Needle. If you control a magical musket monster, target up to 3 cards in the graveyards, banish them. You can only activate one of these per turn. Guys, there are so many decks that rely on recursion and getting things back from the discard pile that Dancing Needle is actually excellent. And again, since it's kind of situational, we don't mind only running a single. And again, with Pot of Desires, sometimes you're just not even going to see the card. So no spilt milk there. We are going to maximize on Desperado. Again, another normal trap. And again, you guys are going to see why here in a second. So if you control a magical musket monster, target a face-up card on the field and destroy it. You can only activate one of these per turn. Again, it's spot damage. It's we just break apart parts of the field. And again, it's just so good for us. So again, maximize that one. Same thing with Last Stand, really good. This is our counter trap. When your opponent activates a spell or trap while you control a magical musket, negate the activation if you do destroy the card. Again, there's no cost outside of needing to control a magical musketeer. So just play it. Just play it at 3. I mean, it's literally one of the best cards in the deck. Going into some of the monsters, we start off with Calamity. This one's a 4-star. This is going to help us with the Utopia bit a little. During either player's turn, you can activate magical musket spell trap cards from your hand. Which means, again, even as traps, we don't need to really resolve on it needs to be set for a turn, because we could just go ahead and use them from our hand, which makes this deck just a little more dangerous in the way that they play. If a spell or trap is activated in this card's column, you can target a magical musketeer monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position. You can only use this effect once per turn, and again, by activating one in this position, we can bring out our other level 4, and we can immediately go into a Utopia 1-punch if we needed to. So again, this deck is doing some cool things. And again, I only ran one because that's what my friend was running, and again, he was doing very well at locals with this. So, I mean, change it up if you guys want to. Casper, we maximized at 3. During either player's turn, you can activate the magical musketeer spell traps from your hand, and if a spell trap is activated in this card's column except the damage step, you can add 1 magical musket card from deck to hand, but not a card with the same name as the activated card. You may only use this once per turn. This is very good. This is going to be search effect, and it's going to help you keep your hand size up. Again, This is very good. This is actually more important than the last effect, which is why you use this effect more. Next character would be Doc, and we're going to use 2 of him. During either player's turn, as you thought, magical musket cards, spell traps can be activated from the hand, and if a spell trap is activated in this card's column, you can add a magical musket card from the graveyard to your hand, but not a card with the same name as the activated card. Only use this effect once per turn. Another thing I think that I failed to mention so far is they're just saying if a spell trap, not if a magical musket spell trap is activated in their column. So we're actually dealing with our opponent activating Monster Reborn and we get a card back because they did it, or we get the special summon because they did it. So, yes. But that's Doc. We got 3 Kid Braves. During either player's turn, you can activate the spells and the traps of magical muskets from your hand. And if a spell trap is activated in this card's column, you can discard 1 magical musket card to draw 2 cards. So again, this is going to be part of our draw engine. Very important. Maximize to 3. And last up for the monsters is Starfire. So again, like normal, the magical musket spell traps from the hand during either player's turn, and if a spell trap is activated in this card's column except during the damage step, we can special summon a level 4 or lower magical musket from our deck in defense except Starfire. And we can do that once per turn. So again, we could do this, we could play one of our spells, and then we could immediately pull out our other 4, and then we can actually go into the Utopia loop if we wanted to. The rest of our cards are pretty easy. We got the single Monster Reborn best extension. We got the Pot of Desires, banish the top 10 of your deck face down. Yes, draw 2 cards, only activate 1 of these per turn. You get the Red Reboot, actually very cool. When your opponent activates a trap, negate the activation, and if you do set that card face down, then they can set 1 other trap directly from their deck. For the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, your opponent cannot activate trap cards. You can activate this card from the hand by paying half your life points. So again, it kind of fits with the theme because it's almost got like that sneak activation, but at the same time, just very good. And with the low amount of traps currently in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Being played in the higher circles of competition, this is, again, one of those cards, like, you guys can feel free to toss this out. The local meta just favors traps a little bit more in my area, and so he was compensating for that. And again, with 3 Pots of Desires, how often does this really come up? It's just another good counter. And then 3 Super Polys, because again, we're going to use some Super Poly targets, and we want to try to deny our opponents the monsters the smart way. So going to our own extra deck, the Boral Sword is, again, our access code talker. We're just going to use this to jump over things. Earth Golem Agnister is pretty good because it's just a Cybers plus a link, and not most, but a healthy chunk of links out there are actually Cybers. So again, if you end up playing up against good decks, Marincess, Salamangreat, stuff like that, Code Talker decks, you're going to see a lot of Cybers. And even if you don't see the Cybers there, you're going to see Cybers with their link monsters while they're trying to do something, like my favorite card, IP Masquerena. So again, it's just good to stock up on it. I like to double down on this guy. That's just what I do. We'll get the Cerberus, the Phoenix, and the Unicorn for the special summon monster, the spell trap, or sealing just any card. Each of these effects on link summon, each of these effects by discarding a card on link summon. Let's talk about Musketeer Max, because this is one we're not going to talk about in any other deck. This is 1 level 8 or lower magical musket character. So, like, there's no reason that you can't play this. This is just super easy. And if this is link summoned, you can activate 1 of these effects. One is add magic musket spell traps with different names from the deck to the hand up to the number of monsters your opponent controls, which is a fantastic bit of advantage right off the rip. Or special summon magical musket monsters with different names from your deck up to the number of spell traps they control. Again, this could be pretty awesome. You can only use this effect once per turn. During either player's turn, you can activate magical musket spell traps from your hand. So he's going to kind of run just like the rest of his team, but he's also going to just generate so much advantage right on the initial play. Again, we maximized it. You guys could take that down to 2 if you wanted to. 2 is probably the lowest I personally would go. My friend obviously maximized it. Then my 2, my 1/2, my 1.5 instant fusion targets. I put this Millenniumized Restrict in there. He didn't have that in there. I just really, really like Millennium Eyes Restrict as an extra called by the grave. And then Mud Dragon is also able to be played this way. But additionally, we could just use it as a super poly target, as it is 2 monsters with the same attribute with different typings. The brilliant part about it is if you do instant fusion, you have a super poly. This guy says once per turn you can declare an attribute. This card becomes that attribute until the end of the turn. We can change this guy into a dark, and if our opponent is playing dark but they've only got 1 monster, we can still get into our Starving Venom Fusion Dragon this way, which is kind of a cool strat. And that was where my mistake was. Apparently I had put 2 of this in the build instead of the 1, and I'd accidentally tossed my Utopia out. So again, the Utopias are simply 1 double, 1 regular. Play for the double, pitch the material, go into the regular after you grab the double or nothing, and try to do the Utopia 1/. And then there's Starving Venom. So 2 dark monsters on the field except for tokens, and if this is fusion summoned, you can make this card gain attack equal to 1 opponent's special summon monster until the end of this turn. That's assuming they still have any monsters. Once per turn, you can target 1 level 5 or higher monster your opponent controls until the end phase. This card's name becomes that monster's original name, and replace this effect with that monster's original effects. If this fusion summoned card is destroyed, you can destroy all your opponent's special summon monsters. So again, he's kind of got so many things going for him. I'm surprised this guy isn't limited, but again, I'm seeing a lot more decks that aren't just dark oriented. So not bad, not terrible. Good card. Pick the art that you like. This guy does have 2 different arts to him. I have a feeling he's going to be a future card of the week just because he's awesome looking. And I do really enjoy this effect. I'd like to kind of like explain the heck out of it in all the different situations it's good in. But like right now is not the time nor the place. So that's going to give you your 15 cards in your extra deck. And that's going to give you guys 40 cards in your main deck. This should just be a template. Like I realize not everybody has, $60 to go get a bunch of Ash Blossoms. I know that you guys don't have a crazy amount of money to go get the double or nothing with the Utopia double. And actually, I think the Utopia double's the priciest portion of that. And I'm not actually sure about any of the prices on these guys. And so this could be a very cheap deck list, and I just don't understand. Or this deck list could actually be very pricey, and again, still just not understanding it. I do hope that you guys enjoyed this. I forgot your name, but I really do hope that the requester of this deck, I hope that this satisfies. I thought this was pretty cool. I did end up watching him play it. But before I was able to get my hands on it, he ended up trading it. So if it hadn't been for that, we would have had a live deck profile. And it is what it is. Later this week, I have another deck that I'd like to show you guys, and it's actually Virtual World. I'm going to be doing that one digitally as well, because I accidentally traded those cards. So that one's on me, guys. But I'm still going to give you guys the deck list. And again, this was pretty professional. It is something that I would definitely take to a better locals or maybe even a regionals. So I'm pretty proud of that list. Me and my friend, he came up with it. I played around with it a little while. It was amazing. But that's neither here nor there, my friends. So just the normal things, go do something fun for yourself. And have a great day. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Later, guys.